Hello medicos. Today I will talk about the peptic ulcer. First of all, I will discuss what is peptic ulcer and how it's occur. Then after I will discuss about the causes of peptic ulcer and what sign and symptom you will see in the patient of peptic ulcer, how these bacteria like Helicobacter pylori bacteria, how this pathogenesis occur these bacteria into the stomach and duodenum. After that I will discuss about the diagnosis, how we will detect the these bacteria, and also different like ultrasound, CT scan, MRI, and lastly I will discuss about the treatment and complication of the peptic ulcer. So please focus on the video in which I will discuss completely about the peptic ulcer. So let's start the video. Peptic ulcer. Peptic ulcer is a defect in the gastrointestinal mucosa. Means defect occur in the gastrointestinal mucosa causes peptic ulcer. There are mostly two types of peptic ulcer you will study in this video. First is the gastric. Gastric ulcer occur in the stomach part of the stomach, and the second is the duodenal ulcer which occur in the upper part of the duodenum. So mostly two type of ulcer you will see in the peptic ulcer: gastric ulcer, gastric ulcer, and the duodenal ulcer, duodenal ulcer, and gastric ulcer. Gastric ulcer you will see when the affection of the only stomach part. When stomach part is affected, then it causes the gastric ulcer. But when the upper part of duodenum, here you will see the upper part of the duodenum affected, then it causes the duodenal ulcer. So it may be gastric ulcer and it may be duodenal ulcer. Here is the healthy stomach and duodenum, but in this ulcer of the patient stomach, here is the gastric ulcer occur, and this is the duodenal ulcer occur in the patient. So two types of ulcer you will see in this video: gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer. What is the causes of both of them? The causes of gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer, mostly two main causes of the ulcer. It is the Helicobacter pylori bacteria and the NSAID. NSAID, those person who consume NSAID for a long time, then it causes the peptic ulcer, because it causes the defect occur in the mucosa layer of the stomach and duodenum. So it causes the peptic ulcer. And Helicobacter pylori, you all know, in microbiology you studied about Helicobacter pylori. It is a gram negative bacteria which causes the peptic ulcer. And peptic ulcer causes by the also by liver cirrhosis. Smoking person also causes the peptic ulcer. Tobacco, long time consumption of the alcohol, stress, maybe person had long time stress, steroid consumption, and Gillinger-Ellison syndrome and Crohn's disease. Gillinger-Ellison syndrome, this is the syndrome in which you will see the increase of the secretion of HCl. Secretion of HCl increases, which causes the Gillinger-Ellison syndrome. I will discuss this syndrome in the later, and also Crohn's syndrome. I will discuss also this syndrome in the detail. So these all causes the peptic ulcer. But when in the examination, mostly these are two main causes of the peptic ulcer. Main cause of the peptic ulcer due to the Helicobacter pylori bacteria or NSAID, which inhibit the NSAID. You all know pharmacology. NSAID inhibit the cyclooxygenase enzyme, which causes the peptic ulcer. Also causes due to the inhibition of the cyclooxygenase enzyme. So main causes of the peptic ulcer caused by the Helicobacter pylori and NSAID. Other these also causes the peptic ulcer. So here you will see the Helicobacter and the NSAID is the main causes of the peptic ulcer. Other also coffee consumption, smoking, alcohol, and spicy food also causes the peptic ulcer. What is the sign and symptoms you will see in the peptic ulcer patient? First of all, you will see the epigastric pain, but you will see always there are two types of pain you will see in the patient. First pain, it is the when gastric ulcer occur in the patient, and when duodenal ulcer. When patient take food, then after 15 to 30 minutes, pain occur in the epigastric region when gastric ulcer occur in the patient. But when the duodenal ulcer occur in the patient, then pain after 1 to 3 hour. Also you will see in the question MCQ, pain occur at the night, means after 3 to 4 hour patient after taking food, like at night he will take food 9 o'clock, then after pain occur in the 12 and 1 o'clock, so it causes the also night pain. So ulcer when when gastric ulcer occur, when duodenal ulcer, then pain occur after 1 to 3 hour, 1 to 3 hour after eating. But when the gastric ulcer occur, then the pain occur after 15 to 30 minutes, after 15 to 30 minute pain occur. But in the duodenal ulcer, 1 to 3 hour after eating. So gastric ulcer, this is the difference between the pain in the gastric. When patient has gastric ulcer, then pain occur after to 15 to 30 minutes after eating, and duodenal ulcer occur, then pain occur 1 to 3 hour after eating of the food. Weight loss and weight gain. When patient has gastric ulcer, then patient feel the weight loss. But when patient has duodenal type of ulcer, then weight gain occur in the patient. So weight loss and gain both occur in the peptic ulcer. But when the patient has gastric ulcer, then you will see the patient has weight loss condition occur. And when patient has duodenal ulcer, then you will see the weight gain occur in the patient. Also you will see the bloating in the patient, bulging, nausea, vomiting also occur in the patient, and heartburn, because due to the secretion of high amount of HCl, then patient also feel the heartburn sensation and the abdominal fullness, like heaviness in the abdomen, and also patient feel fatigue, heaviness in the abdomen, also most common symptom you will see in the patient of the peptic ulcer. But you will always remember this epigastric pain after 15 to 30 minutes start after eating of the food. But duodenal ulcer when occur, then 1 to 3 hour, midnight when the pain occur in midnight. And weight loss occur in the gastric ulcer type of patient, but weight gain occur in the duodenal ulcer. This is the sign and symptoms occur in the peptic ulcer of the patient. You will also see the complication like peptic ulcer patient complication, bleeding, perforation, pyloroduodenal stenosis, and also penetration also occur in the patient. But these are the main complication occur in the peptic ulcer patient. First is the bleeding. Bleeding is mostly two types of bleeding you will see in the patient. Two types of bleeding, it's called hematemesis and the melena. Hematemesis means blood in vomiting, but melena is blood in stool. When blood in stool, then it's called melena, but when blood in the vomiting, then it's called hematemesis. So when gastric ulcer occur and when duodenal ulcer occur, so cause duodenal ulcer, then cause possibility of the hematasis. When duodenal ulcer occur, the possibility of the hematasis is the 60% and the melena is the 40% chance. But when the gastric ulcer occur, then it's opposite, it's 40% and this is the 60%. So when gastric ulcer occur, then the hematasis chance is the 40% and the melena chance is the 60%. But when the duodenal ulcer occur, then the chance of hematemesis is the 60% and the melena is the 40%. So these are the bleeding occur in the patient, but bleeding is painless. Please remember this point. Painless type of bleeding occur in the patient of the peptic ulcer, both gastric and duodenal ulcer. But when the perforation occur, there is the, you also know, perforation occur in the patient of the duodenal and peptic ulcer, both are cases. So you will see the like epigastric pain due to the perforation, also obliteration, liver dullness you will see in the patient, and also bacterial peritonitis also occur in the perforation. So these are the, but usually perforation no blood loss in the perforation. There is no any blood loss occur in the perforation, but it is a painless. Bleeding is painless, but perforation is no blood loss. There is no bleeding occur in case of the perforation of the patient in the both gastric and duodenal type of the ulcer. These are the complication. And in the case of pyloroduodenal stenosis, you will see the when pyloroduodenal stenosis, then you will see the enlargement of the stomach occur. Enlargement of stomach occur in the patient. So these are the complication of stomach. Enlargement of stomach occur in the patient when pyloroduodenal stenosis, because blockage like appearance occur, so enlargement of the size of the stomach in the patient. So this is the main complication, because it's very important. Complication of peptic ulcer is the bleeding, perforation, pyloroduodenal stenosis, and the penetration. Bleeding is two types: hematemesis and the melena. Hematemesis is vomit in blood in vomiting, and melena is the blood in the stool. These are the when gastric ulcer occur, when the duodenal ulcer, these are the percentage of the chance of hematemesis and the melena. Perforation is usually no blood loss in case of the perforation, and many symptoms you will see in the perforative type like epigastric pain, obliteration of the liver, bacterial peritonitis, like you will see the decrease of the blood pressure in the patient, high temperature, also shock occur in the patient of perforation. When perforation occur, those, so it causes the shock to the patient. So, and many symptom syndrome you will see like Valentino's syndrome, pain in the right iliac fossa. When perforation occur, then you will also see the Valentino syndrome. It's not necessary very important, but you will also learn perforation. When perforation occur, also Valentino syndrome you will see in the patient, pain in the right iliac fossa. And pylorostenosis, in these cases you will see the enlargement of stomach. So these about the complication of the peptic ulcer. Now we will see the what is the pathogenesis, how these bacteria affect the in the peptic ulcer. Pathogenesis of the peptic ulcer. Pathogenesis of peptic ulcer mostly occur by the Helicobacter pylori bacteria. So I will discuss only about the Helicobacter pylori bacteria. First of all, affection of the Helicobacter pylori bacteria, then it causes the colonization of the near gastric mucosa. Here colonization of Helicobacter bacteria causes the colonization near the gastric mucosa of the duodenum or the stomach. So which causes the, when colonization occur, then it causes the aggregated gastric release, high amount of the release of the gastric juice. Here gastric acid, high amount of release of gastric acid, which causes the hyperactivation of, due to the high release of the gastric release, then activation of the parietal cell. Here is the activation of the parietal cell, you will see in the patient, hyperactivation of the parietal cell. Due to the hyperactivation of the parietal cell, you will see the increase of the acid secretion, also increase of the acid secretion by the parietal cell in the stomach or duodenal part of the small intestine. So this causes the hyper secretion of the acid, hyper secretion of acid, increased acid secretion, which causes the gastric and duodenal metaplasia. Due to this hyper secretion, gastric and duodenal metaplasia occur in the patient, and which causes the gastric and duodenal type of the ulcer. So these are the pathogenesis of the Helicobacter pylori bacteria into the duodenum or in the stomach. First of all, Helicobacter pylori infection occur in the patient stomach or duodenum, then it causes the colonies near the gastric mucosa of the duodenum. Here is the gastric mucosa layer present in the duodenum or stomach. Here duodenum and stomach, then it causes the colonization of the near gastric mucosa. Then after aggregated gastric release of the gastric juice, here in both part, maybe in case of the gastric ulcer in the stomach, and in case of the duodenal ulcer in case of in the duodenum. So which causes also hyper, due to the hypergastric release, which also activate the, due to the positive feedback mechanism, also causes the parietal cell also activation occur, and it causes the increase of the secretion of acid secretion, means HCl secretion also increases in the patient stomach or duodenum, which causes the gastric and duodenal metaplasia, means hyper secretion of HCl occur, which so that's which causes the gastric and duodenal ulcer in the patient of the peptic ulcer. So this is the pathogenesis of the peptic ulcer in the patient of, due to the Helicobacter pylori infection. What is the diagnosis we will do for the detection of the these peptic ulcer? First of all, we will take rapid urease test. Rapid urease test mostly we will take in case of the affection by the checking of the, it is also called CLO test. and it is used for the Helicobacter pylori bacteria. When invisible in the urine Helicobacter pylori bacteria, then it is confirmed that it causes the peptic ulcer in the patient. Also we will do the esophagogastroduodenoscopy, EGDS. It is also called EGDS, esophagogastroduodenoscopy. In these cases you will see the accompanied biopsy of remaining Helicobacter pylori infection. So you will also see the in the patient you will see the taking biopsy some part of the stomach or duodenum, revealing revealing Helicobacter H pylori, I will write H pylori bacteria infection and possible any possible ulcer malignation, infection and possible any possible ulcer malignization. So these are used for the detection of Helicobacter pylori bacteria or other infection occur by the bacteria and other like due to the NSAID. So it is the best choice. Esophagogastroduodenoscopy we will use for the peptic ulcer detection. Also we will do the endoscopy of the patient and X-ray examination with the barium sulfate. We will also do the X-ray examination with the barium sulfate. So these all are the diagnosis method we will do for the checking of the peptic ulcer when it is maybe gastric ulcer or maybe duodenal ulcer. So these are the diagnostic method of the detection of the peptic ulcer. What is the treatment for the peptic ulcer? First of all, main treatment is the first of all we will first stop the taking say to the patient to stop the taking of alcohol and also smoking and stop the NSAID. If patient take NSAIDs, then we will say to the patient to stop taking of the NSAID. And other when patient do not take like this type of when patient didn't consume alcohol, not smokers and not taking NSAID, then we will try to treat like with the antibiotic many antibiotic like tetracyclines, amoxicillin any, and proton pump inhibitor. We will also use the proton pump inhibitor, which you all know. Proton pump inhibitor function like it decrease the acid secretion into the stomach and duodenum, acid secretion. So we will also use the proton pump because it decrease the HCl secretion. So proton pump inhibitor like you will know ranitidine is the proton pump inhibitor. Also omeprazole. These are the proton pump inhibitor we will also use for the treatment of the peptic ulcer in the patient. Also H2 blocker, histamine blocker, H2 histamine type of blocker like you all know like famotidine. These are the H2 blocker. So we will use famotidine. And surgery in the last cases when very large affection or also necrosis occur in the duodenal part and the stomach part, then we will use for the surgery of the patient. We will try to remove the part of the like stomach and duodenum where the ulcer occur. So we will also use the surgery in case of the patient when duodenal ulcer or gastric ulcer. Like you know all different part of the stomach like cardiac part, fundus part, body part and pyloric part. So when any different part ulcer occur, so try to remove those part where the process of ulcer occur, where the progression of also ulcer occur. So we will remove in the surgery cases, but it is used in the severe cases of patient, not all cases, because mostly of the cases when we will provide proton pump inhibitor H2 blocker, then patient recover. But when it causes very severe in condition, then we will also do the surgery. So these are the treatment of the peptic ulcer in the patient of gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer. Thank you so much.